West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Premier made up his mind long ago about a detailed independent review. He said, and I quote, "It's not a failure of the government. There's no fault to be apportioned," end quote. Almost 600 vulnerable people died, Mr. Speaker, and his response was, nothing to see here. It's just a fact of life. The revelations under FOI this week show the Premier was wrong and his government did fail our vulnerable seniors. So as the minister knows, this is not simply a coroner's review. Will the Premier stop hiding and call a full and independent review to show how government reacted to this?
Minister of Health.
Honourable Speaker, the ambulance service, because that's at the core of the questions, BC Emergency Health Services, has been responding to the circumstances across BC over the last number of years, Honourable Speaker, by adding resources, by substantially increasing, in fact, other than mental health and addictions, the largest increase of any part of the healthcare system has gone to ambulance paramedics because of two reasons. One, what we are seeing is increase in demand, and more important than that, an increase in purple and red calls, which are the most serious calls that our healthcare system received, on the one hand. And on the other hand, a system that historically, and this goes back decades, it does not meet the challenges of 2021, particularly in rural and remote parts of BC. That's why from day one, we've been adding ambulance paramedics and dispatchers and ambulance and air ambulance capacity. Why at the beginning of the pandemic in rural and remote areas of BC, we added even more capacity to that system. And why, Honourable Speaker, we're going to continue to do that. It's to respond in substance to the challenges that the ambulance service faces across BC. There is a comprehensive review going on right now by the coroner, who is highly respected, has the powers to conduct the review, and is treating every single case as important. That's what I believe needs to be done. But what I also believe needs to be done is this event that was defined by Dr. Sarah Henderson as a 1-in-1,000-year event that has now happened. We need to respond collectively, not just in the healthcare system, but collectively, to become more resilient to the challenges of climate change.
Member for West Vancouver, supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know that this one-time-in-a-1,000-year event was anticipated. This was not a surprise. Government had been warned about this for a year prior to that. 569 people died, and we need a full and independent review of the Premier's failure to act. This minister says there's more and more resources being deployed. We need more resources. That's wonderful, but are these the right resources? Because they don't have the right outcome. As Human Rights Watch has said, he failed to act, the Premier has failed to act on his own 2019 climate risk assessment. He failed to do anything about call wait times, and which were steadily increasing for the 12 months prior to this heat wave. And he failed to listen to 911 dispatch that had concluded a month before this heat wave that the delays compromised public safety. The Premier callously told grieving families that they had a level of personal responsibility. Will he accept his responsibility today and order a full and independent review?
Minister of Health.
Honourable Speaker, the full and independent review that's taking place, and everyone acknowledges it's comprehensive. Every case and the circumstances of those cases will be reviewed, every case. And that's a full review. And the coroner is, of course, independent. And one of the most important independent reviews that can take place. But in addition, it seems to me that in this time of climate change, it calls on us to take the action that we're taking in this government and I hope around this world to address the issues of climate change. This event was unlike any event we had ever seen in the history of British Columbia. There was a predecessor event. Well, Honourable Speaker, the opposition can heckle all they want. They can heckle all they want.
Members, let's listen to the answer, please.
Well, Honourable Speaker, 140 deaths is important, and more than 500 deaths is important as well. Every one of them are. And so what we are doing, I think, Honourable Speaker, is doing what needs to be done. Taking every case is important. Every person who passed away is important. Having that review taking place, while taking important actions to ensure that we're more resilient in the future to what we're going to deal with in the days, in the weeks, in the months, in the years, in the decades ahead. The need as a society to become more resilient to the fact of climate change.